Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. We've been getting the red pill over the past couple days, as expected from so many consecutive bullish days in the market over the past week. This is perfectly normal, and it's great to see a pullback to maintain a healthy market structure. So today we're going to jump into the Bitcoin and Xrp charts to look at what's been going on since our recent weekly close and what to look out for during this week. And we'll also be taking a quick look at the Ethereum chart as well. And just a reminder, the new month has started on Patreon. If you've been patiently waiting to join, you can visit patreon.com/watersabove to sign up for the Mastermind community membership. All the perks and features will be listed in the description of that membership. Greatly appreciate your support and looking forward to meeting all the new members who join us on this high vibrational journey in the Matrix. Last night I released Gematria Masterclass number 5, which included my decoding tips and strategies that can be used for you to start decoding your favorite cryptocurrencies. And for my Red Pill episode number 18, we went over the charts of Dent, Anchor, Matic, Theta, and a couple others. It was a really fun podcast and a great way to wrap up a wild week in this crypto market. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious people to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. My email's in the description to get in contact with me for access to the course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So tomorrow is a special day. Why? Because it will be 33 days between the start of Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year. So technically Rosh Hashanah is between September 6th through 8th, and the day of Rosh Hashanah being the 7th of September, and that is the start of the Shemitah. So this is a very special day. You guys have been hearing me talking about it quite a bit. And between tomorrow, the 4th, and the start of Rosh Hashanah, we are looking at, let me correct this, we're looking at a span of 33 days to start Rosh Hashanah Eve. And then on the 5th of August, it will actually be 33 days until the start of Shemitah. So this is very powerful again because these 22s, 33s, 77s, all the time you get these numbers, we're seeing big significant changes happen in this market. So from August 5th until Shemitah is 33 days. And another thing, when we're doing our Gematria, when we're typing in the 852021, we're getting the 18, and this is very important. So remember what I said, from this date of August 5th until the start of Shemitah, it is 33 days, and this 18 is what you get for the date numerology of August 5th. And this is where it gets really interesting. Shemitah equaling 18 in Chaldean, right? So this is super incredible to see all of these numbers tie together. And this 18 in Hebrew for life, it's the significance behind life or existence itself. And there could be deeper meaning here with the 1-8, for the 1 being the connection to source and 8 being infinity. And when you combine the two together, you have infinite connection to source. And that is a very powerful combination of numbers. Again, with the 1 plus 8 reduced to the 9, and you get the reset of where all the numbers will start resetting themselves. So the full integers going from 1 to 9, 0 being the egg that gives birth to all of the other numbers. After 9, you just start repeating with the 1 and 0, which is the code, the 1s and 0s, the binary code, and that leads to the 11. And that's why January 1st is the 1-1, the 11, the restart. It's amazing when you start looking into the meanings of these numbers. So just to give you guys another important data point, again, between start of Shemitah and the 5th of August being 33 days. And now let's try this exercise a little bit deeper. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys from the start of Rosh Hashanah over to 77 days, and look at where that brings us. Right on the low dip of June 22nd, which is currently our microcycle low. We hit the lowest price in Bitcoin on that exact day. Now let's try this again. So we're going to go from Shemitah to here, and you can see the crash of May 19th was exactly 111 days. Okay, this is very powerful when you see these number connections. So let's just pay attention to the next 2 days. Could be a little bit of energy restart, and that is perfectly normal. And we're going to break this down a little bit more as we go through the TA. So let me just quickly restart this chart. And we're going to start with our recent weekly close, which was actually extremely bullish. If I zoom in really far, you can see that the close that we got leading into this week was actually above our 21 exponential moving average. So you can see this orange line being the 21 EMA. This is the first time Bitcoin closed above not only the 34 EMA, for the first time concretely, but also the 13 and the 21, going back all the way to before the crash happened. This was technically a closure above the 34, but it didn't work out so well because it immediately led to a huge dump. So we're going to have to see how this goes, because this is the first time of us getting a closure above the 21. And in technical analysis, especially for Bitcoin in particular, when you're seeing this 21 EMA and price action maintaining above it on the weekly chart, this is a very bullish thing, and this is a kind of what we consider a continuation of a bull run. Now, what we're getting today in a reaction to our recent weekly closure is just support on this 34 EMA. Again, the last time we closed above the 34, it was short-lived, dumped very low, and couldn't even hold that level. But now we've actually closed above the 21, and we're just retesting the 34. This is pretty normal price action. And if I show you where the fibs are, this is actually just right around where the 236 fib is. Again, when you're looking at this from a Fibonacci retracement perspective using fibs, the 236 is typically your support. It's what is your biggest resistance, which gets flipped as your biggest support moving forward and having a bottoming structure form leading to continuation. So now holding this level of the 236 is key for anyone who wants to have just a quick and short understanding of what's going on from a technical perspective. If Bitcoin's going to maintain next week's closure above the 236 fib, that's bullish. This pullback was just to fill levels, kind of confirm supports, and continue this show to the upside. So this is very important to consider, this 236 fib, and then also how that's in alignment with some of the other moving averages we'll talk about in a moment. So one other thing too is today we have a 5-day closure. 5 days are really important candle closes. Again, 5 being a Fibonacci number. So with this right here being above the 236 fib and holding support above the 5-day 13 EMA, that's both totally normal, very bullish. And if we look at the MACD, we're very close to that MACD bullish cross. If Bitcoin would have just maintained above the 39,000 level, this probably would have crossed leading into next week's close, but it's probably going to take a little bit longer, and that's totally fine. This was a pretty unhealthy bounce straight to the upside, and we could see that in the daily candles. So if we just hide all this excess stuff and I close out all of the extra noise, you can see Bitcoin closed 11 straight daily candles green. That is actually the second most consecutive green daily closes for Bitcoin going back to 2011. Maybe somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but the average was about 8. There was many times where Bitcoin hit 8 straight in a row. 9 was a record, and then between that, I think it was 15 straight days sometime in 2011. So that was insane. But again, back then Bitcoin was completely new. There was very little to compete with, and that was just kind of normal. You know, there was no altcoins back then either. So anyways, the long and short of it was this was like a pretty much a record, and for Bitcoin to be doing this at the above the $10,000 level, that's pretty normal in regards to a reaction of having too much bearishness. So the reason for this is just because this huge dump was due to too much leverage, over leveraged unsophisticated investors, and then options just basically draining out a lot of people. And every time they would get into these shorts, they would get ripped to the other side. And the amount of shorts that were liquidated around this full moon was mind-blowing. Anyone who's been following my work for a while, you know we talk about the full moons bringing in a bearish energy. So when you're seeing a lot of people putting in shorts around a full moon, and they're not they're not considering the structure, that is just hilarious how they all get liquidated, because when everyone thinks the market's going to keep going down is exactly when the market reverses the opposite direction. The same thing with moving up. I was telling you guys, watch out for this 42,000 level. This 42,000 level is extremely important to consider. Barely being able to hold above it for multiple days is a sign at that level being a huge resistance, and we're just going to have to see how this plays out moving forward. But the bigger thing here is this 200 exponential. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more into that right here. You can see we closed below the 8 simple, and then now we're about 2 days straight, and then we have this 200 exponential that we're looking to close below. That's technically bearish, but it's totally fine. At the end of the day, as long as Bitcoin's trading above the 21 exponential on the daily, that's kind of where we would consider our lower level target. And by tonight's daily closure, we should see this 21 EMA flip closer to the 236 fib, and then it would be natural. If that was to happen, let's just say tomorrow or the next day, because of that connection that we've made to the 33 days from Shemitah, that would, just solidify that we're using a lot of things here with our analysis. We're not just looking at the levels, the exponential moving averages, the fibs, etc. We're tying in some more of these important date connections around these more esoteric things that I think a lot of analysts overlook. So here we're just seeing normal corrections after RSI got overheated. It was just in a straight line down from 34 straight to 75. That's not healthy. You can see if I zoom out, it was a very unhealthy move to the upside. We did break this 7 months resistance. That's great. But now we're sort of resetting into that 56 level. Anything below 50, it starts to get a little bit precarious, because then it gets removed out of the bullish control zone. But for that being said, again, I'm not bearish at all. I think that the 33 connection to Shemitah is giving us a lot of reasons as to what's going on right now. And I've shown you before, 77 days was our absolute bottom, and measuring from Shemitah to this massive liquidity dump was 111 days. So this will be the 33rd day. The 33 significance coming back to the 33rd degree. 33 degrees Fahrenheit is when ice turns back to water. That is the unfrozen mind, or the unfrozen pineal gland. That is why it has significance in Freemasonry, because when your pineal gland is unfrozen and your eyes to the sides that lie get subdued, you can now allow in light. You could allow in truth, and you could unlock gnosis. So now you could actually tap into the secrets and mysteries of the universe. That is why secret societies operate the way they do in secrecy, because the layman has no ability to accept the truths of our reality. They short circuit like the robots that they are. So let's continue this and consider that this upcoming new moon on the 8th could be reacting very similarly to this move back here, where it took about 5 days after the new moon to get our microcycle top. Now, this new moon will be happening on the 8th. 5 days later is the 13th. The 13th of August is a Friday the 13th. It will be the 50th year anniversary since the Nixon shock of 1971. And that event was on the 15th. And when they coordinated that event and started talking behind the scenes before Nixon went live on television in front of the world, the 13th was the day they coordinated, and that was also a Friday the 13th. So it's not only the 50th year anniversary, but it's the 50th year anniversary perfectly to the day of the week. Again, 7 times 7, or 7 cycles of Shemitah, equals Jubilee. the 50th year, and that is what we're about to move into. I've been talking about this quite a lot, and I will be doing more decoding stuff on that for the Patreon very, very soon, probably sometime this week. So what I want everyone to consider is we could actually get maybe tomorrow, dip down, and then start to recover into that new moon. And maybe we don't hit 46,000 or anything like that. And then we pull back into the full moon a little bit, make a new micro cycle low in the structure, and then get our actual move to 50K in early September. We just have to see how this goes. At the end of the day, Bitcoin could do whatever it wants when it wants, and nobody is perfect at being able to determine when it happens. What we have to do is have patience and collect all this data so that we could be able to apply it to the charts the best we can. That's something unique, and it's hard to have the patience and reduce the emotional connection to it. And so many people want everything to happen yesterday because of this new technocratic realm that we're a part of, where everyone's so addicted to social media. This has made it so that the synapses that fire in our brain are just always seeking new. And that is really why a lot of people suffer in this market, because they want everything instantaneously. Instant gratification is a huge problem in our current world, and it's been we've been parasited by the social media side of things because it's all about having access to everything in the push of a button. So with that being said, let's give this some time to play out. We have tons of levels here. Essentially, whatever happens with Bitcoin over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 years will play its role into how the altcoins react. So that's why I like showing this chart and going over this chart in depth. Before we move on to the XRP chart, go ahead and give this video a like if you haven't already, and we're going to move on to the XRP analysis. So let's quickly look at what happened over the weekly close. We can see something here. We have multiple rejections on this 2 weeks in a row on the 21 exponential moving average. So if you can see this orange moving average right here, let me zoom in even more for you guys. You could see these two lines are the 13 and 21 exponential, and XRP failed to close above it. And that was 2 weeks straight in a row. That's a bearish sign, but we're holding on this 34 moving average, and that's the first time we've closed above it in pretty much about a month or so. And holding it as a support would be really nice, because the last time that we were above it, we actually traded significantly below it and then got confirmed as a rejection the following week. So we need to see how this goes. Again, this should be at least sideways and neutral for now. Everything is kind of looking neutral for XRP. And let's look at our daily chart. So we could see that these three exponential moving averages are coiling up around that 68-cent level. That would be the key support level right now at this time. That would make total sense, because that's where our cluster of trading range was before this breakout. Having a breakout above previous resistance and then coming to backtest it as a support is totally normal, and that's actually what you would want to see in a chart. Good analysis is all about trying to be patient and seeing these levels fill one at a time. You don't just want to see green candles to the sky. That's typically when things start to pull back a little bit more dramatically than you would like. So let's look at a couple of our other key moving averages. And we could see right here, we still have our bullish cross of the 8 simple above the 55 simple. We do have the 55 simple sitting in that range that I was just talking about, around 68 cents. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing too is just our resistance. It's this 200 simple moving average. We could barely hold closes above the 200 exponential, and you can see as every day closed, the prices went slightly higher on the wicks, and it was all sloping upwards with that 200 simple moving average. Again, that's why this level is so key for XRP. This 200 simple and getting daily closes above it would be massive, be very bullish for the XRP chart. So let's look at the Bollinger Bands and see if we can get anything else. Okay, good. So right here, you can see the top side Bollinger Band has actually crossed above the 200 simple. This is telling me that once it's done getting out of this neutral zone and it wants to pump to the upside, it will have enough juice to actually not only make a higher high in the structure, but if it wanted to close outside of the daily Bollinger Band, of the daily topside Bollinger Band, it would also be closing outside of this 200 simple. So you can see that that's kind of normal to close outside of the topside Bollinger Band. It started to do that on the 28th, 29th, 30th, then got rejection within it, and then it's become a downtrend since. That's why I love the Bollinger Bands. But with that being said, now that it's extended and crossed above the 200 simple, and we know the 200 simple is a strong resistance, this tells us that if we were to get a bullish pump, it's going to probably start closing dailies above that 200, or sorry, above the topside Bollinger Band, which would be also above the 200 simple. So this is great. It's nice to see XRP level out again, because Ethereum is down today. That makes a lot of sense, where we're seeing all the altcoins across the board, including XRP, down. So I did mention I wanted to take a quick look at Ethereum for you guys, because pretty much Ethereum has been on a rampage to the upside. If I close out everything, you can see this was about 13 straight daily candles green, with the exception of this doji on July 28th. If that was green, that would have been literally almost 2 weeks straight green. So that's insane. That's way too bullish, and this pullback was necessary. Now, if we go back to that live stream that I did a couple weeks ago, you guys might have heard me talk about this W breakout. I think I've also spoken about it in one of my Red Pill episodes, and maybe even a YouTube video. I'm not quite sure. But this W breakout is textbook. You can see this is the cleanest W we've seen on a chart in a while. Haven't seen a W this clean on XRP or Bitcoin in a long time. And this is on the daily chart, by the way. So how this works is once you get above the neckline, which the neckline is right here around 2,375, you would want to get slightly above it and then rejected, come down and retest the neckline. So the neckline could call it that wick there at 2,410. But technically it should be the closures. If I was to put this into a area chart, you'd get a little bit more clarity. You could see that would be a pretty substantial pullback around, you know, from where we're at now down to this neckline is about another 6%. It's possible, especially if Bitcoin wants to pull back another 3% or 2% between the next couple of days. Of course, Ethereum could pull back 6%. So this is something to keep in mind. But if we now take a conservative pull from around the candle body closures down to the candle body open, and let me turn off these indicators so it doesn't look so messy for you guys. You're going to see if I take a measured move like this and I put it above the neckline, we're looking at a move all the way up to about 2,800. And I believe there's an even more bullish move to be made. I believe we'll take from the wicks, and the only reason I'm considering the wicks here is because I trade Ethereum and I know how it operates. It becomes way more bullish than you'd imagine. The same thing goes in reverse. When it's bearish, it's very bearish. Now, this is going to bring us to around this level of $3,100, let's just say. So after it confirms the neckline around here, then it would be moving up into that 3,100 area, which is basically around this 2,618. I could see it getting the juice to that level. Again, we're about to enter the 32nd week of the year. And because Ethereum is an altcoin, what we've seen with Bitcoin, when Bitcoin hits its microcycle tops and starts to pull back into full moons, that liquidity that leaves Bitcoin will enter Ethereum, and then Ethereum will get a pump. And that pump could last all the way until the full moon. So when I'm talking about new moon and full moon, please understand that I'm discussing Bitcoin. I am not talking about some isolated altcoin. But for the most part, because Ethereum is the second biggest altcoin, that's why it will have its highs after Bitcoin hits its highs. The same thing goes for Binance token and Cardano and etc. It's just spilling over liquidity into smaller cap alts. And if you see one coin that's isolated for the day doing really well, that typically comes back to Gematria Numerology and Astrology. So anyways, I'm going to leave the video at that. Patreon has now opened up for the month of August. If you guys are interested in joining, we have the 4 full Gematria decodes for the projects that I did last month of Digibyte, HBAR. We had Zinfin Network as our last decode, which was really awesome. I did my masterclass number 5 yesterday, where I went over all my tips and strategies, and I'll be making a part 2 video to that actually, and possibly adding a full decode for Shemitah and the Jubilee. So Enjoy the rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.